Good afternoon all. I'm going to populate a circuit board. These are my little Muppet 2 MOSFET driver boards, but it's largely surface mount. Oh well, here we go. So I'm going to use this fairly thick flux. It's the PD10 stuff I got, almost as a sort of glue, and just put it down where I want to glue a component on. Just holds it in place while I solder it so it doesn't flip up and tombstone. So is this 220 ohms? Yeah, 221. And this sticky flux also kind of works as a pick and place system, so I can pick and place my component, shove it in place. It kind of pretty much sits there, and then I'll solder it using the smallest bit I've got for the TS100 iron. So let's get on with it. First solder joint. Not bad. Nice little bit of flux burn. I like that. I don't think I really set these pads very far apart. They're probably library pads. Oh no, that didn't join. Why didn't that join? Come here, component. Yeah, that's not wetting the edges of the component. Try again. Well, let's try what everyone else suggests, which is just slightly tin the pad at one end of the component. Trouble is, slight tinning is actually quite difficult to do. You normally get quite a big mound. Okay, a couple of mounds on there. Let's get my 10 meg ohm resistors. A couple of 106 resistors. There you come. Let's get them on. Yeah, I'm really liking the sticky pick and place. That works really well. Okay, let's now press it down because I want to get it flat. The 220 didn't go down very flat. Well, it did in the end because I lay my iron across the side to heat up both sides at once. That was the only way I could get it back down flat. Once I'd tinned both pads. Tinning both pads is not a good idea. I think that's down, but there isn't a lot of solder on that side. It was too lightly soldered. Perhaps you do need a bit of a mound. That's looking better. Right, let's flip this round. Do these two sides. I think I just would like a footprint that was slightly wider. But I guess you couldn't fit as much on the board if you did that. Oh, that went down pretty well. And this flux does seem to work really quite well. I just like this thick, sticky flux rather than the sort of liquid stuff that you get in these pens. So my 220 ohms R1 there wasn't brilliant, but the 210 megs, the 106s, yeah, they're much better. Particularly that one there, where I've got very little solder on. It's quite difficult with an iron and a stick of solder to apply the tiniest amount, but yeah, they're better. Moving on. Right, now the LEDs, with the added complication that they've got to be the right way round. Oh, and I've got to get my green and red the right way around. I could do with some of those tweezers that have a little battery in, and you tweeze the LED, and then you can immediately, oh come on, get in there. You can immediately see what colour it is. I need a knife for this. Yeah, I must get some of those component tweezers. What is going on with this? It seems to have stuck itself back down onto the plastic. Pliers. There's one. Which one's this? This is G for green. So the red one, ironically, is the one that has more visible sort of green cathode-y stuff printed on it. The green one, there's the tiniest hint of green at one end, so I'm hoping that's the cathode end. I'll stick them down, and if I've got it wrong, oh dear. And solder the other side. That seems to have taken. See if I can get this one to take. Because it's so small, it's hard to see when the solder actually takes or flows. And applying the right amount of solder is monstrously difficult. Right, quick test. Positive can go to anode, Oh, that works rather well. So this one will be the other way round. And this is the red one, I believe. Yeah, they both work. Ah, that's all the surface mount done. So we're on to the through-hole stuff now. So I can settle down and I can bring the camera up because through-hole we can see from this distance. So the first two components, I suppose the lowest profile components, are these Sharp PC817 Optos. The little footprint for that was a bit round the wrong way, kind of. Anyway, pin 1 is marked. Yeah, pin 1 has a square pad on there, it's hard to see. All the other pins have a round pad, and of course I've got a pin 1 dot. So that's going to be my guide. Yeah, there's quite a lot of flux residue on here, and I was just going to stick this down onto the blue tack, and then I thought, no, I don't want to get flux on my blue tack. But actually, maybe flux, because blue tack has oil in it, so maybe flux wouldn't be a problem mixed in with blue tack. Only one way to find out. So we solder the through-hole pins. Oh, that's more pleasurable. I put a little bit of pen flux on here, so that's burning off. Actually, this tip is a bit small, really, for through-hole. It's good for surface mount, this little point tip. But a bit small for through-hole. In fact, I'm getting kind of concave solder. I quite like it, actually. Rather than the big sort of well, it's always concave, but rather than the blob sticking up, the solder's actually flowed down into the hole, and there's a little sort of depression in there. I'll show you. So not how I would normally want my solder joints to look, but there's plenty of solder in the hole, so I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I could add more, perhaps I will. So the tip of this iron is, let's see if I can show it without melting is blackening up very quickly. And so what I really want is brass shavings rather than the, hard to get light on it. But it's blackening, it's taken solder there, but around the other side it's all blackened. So I really want brass shavings. Now I bought these brass shavings some time ago and I didn't get on very well with them because I don't think they're brass. But what I really want to do is wiggle that around in there to give it a bit of a scrape. But it just doesn't seem to work very effectively. And maybe it is, I don't know. But then you want to get to tin it really quite quickly after doing that, so that you keep the sort of clean looking tip. But now that's too much solder, so I need to take that off. Right, now let's solder my little tantalum capacitor in there. What does that do? I think it is the smoothing cap on the output of the little step-up converter. This is the step-up converter. It's a 5 to 12 volt sort of micro isolated boost converter. Yeah, interesting little thing. I've got the other one on here, so let's get that in. So I've got to get that off here. I kind of just jerry-rigged it onto here. One of these wires should ping off at some point. Come on, ping off. Yeah, they're kind of pinging off, but the tip has blackened again really quickly. Don't know what it is about this tip, but I do seem to find that this tip just blackens up so quickly. In fact, I think at this stage I'm going to shut this off and go back to my little wedge tip, because this really is only good for surface mount. Much prefer the wedge tip for through hole. Now with this still at 270 degrees, is that too hot to touch? Feels alright actually. It is warm, so I think what I'll do is I'll take that out and dump it in my brass shavings. That'll suck the heat out of it. Now where's my wedge tip? Yes, this is my favourite tip. No, that's not going to heat up, is it? No, because I haven't switched it on yet. With the wedge end, but it is corroding a lot. I think I might buy another one of these, but they are about $10 each, I think. Right, let's switch that on. And let's solder in the little 4-pin step-up converter. into there. Now I had two power source options for these things. The step-up converter, but also there are these two holes right at the farthest extent on the back of the board, and that's for one of those 12 volt, those tiny little 12 volt, I think they're called A23, is it? Oh yeah, it is A23 because it's written on there. An A23 battery holder, which sits right across the bottom of this thing. In fact, this thing was kind of designed to be almost A23 battery holder sized, and that's an alternative option to the step-up regulator. And you can actually put both on there, not that it achieves anything, but it doesn't fry the regulator to have the 12 volt battery placed across its output. Seems to be happy with that. So finally, a couple of triple pin arrays, which are for the Arduino in, and I must remember that I've done this ground VCC. Oh, hang on, let's have a look at it. It doesn't say, but signal is up one end because that's the way they're laid out on one of these Arduino boards. Signal is up one end, VCC is in the middle, and then ground. And I've laid these out in that same combination, that same, what's the word? Yes, that same sequence, that same order. Because on the Vera board it didn't lend itself to having the signal put up one end. On the PCB, of course, you can do what you want. And t'other end goes to, what does t'other end go to? The MOSFET, I think. Just solder my pin arrays in and I'm done. I'm ready to fire this up or connect it up to the Arduino. Now in my Arduino I should still have the sketch for Muppet 2, which controls the two MOSFET drivers from one potentiometer, one over part of the range of the pot and then the other one over the remaining part of the range, because I want to charge a supercapacitor. Right, let's have a bit of a tidy up and then I'm going to get the Muppet out and see if these MOSFET drivers work.